Hi, I'm Jackie Knowles of Glasswork Pixie. I'm partnering with Oceanside Glass and Tile to bring you this instructional Fusing Fundamentals video series. During these videos, I'll take you inside my studio where I'll be using Oceanside Compatible products to teach you the foundational skills you'll need to start making fused glass pieces. In this first lesson, I'll go over exactly what glass fusing is, the different types of art you can create by fusing glass, and the tools you'll need to get started. Let's get into it. Glass fusing is the process of joining multiple pieces of glass by heating them to their melting point so that the disparate pieces fuse together into one. The temperature is precisely controlled throughout this process, generally by slowly increasing the heat up to a degree that will produce the desired aesthetic, holding it there for a period of time, and then decreasing it back down to room temperature. Glass fusing allows you to create not only colorful, one-of-a-kind works of art, but also functional pieces that can be used around the home, such as coasters, plates, bowls, and more. These are the bare minimum tools and materials needed to make fused glass pieces. Of course, the most important material you need is glass. Ideally, several sheets in several different colors. But not just any glass. All the glass used in a single fusing project has to be compatible. The COE, or coefficient of expansion, is one indicator of compatibility. We'll discuss COEs in more depth in Lesson 3, but for now, just know that 1, fusing glasses of different COEs may result in unstable projects that are liable to crack, and 2, just because 2 glasses have the same COE doesn't necessarily mean that they're compatible. So your safest bet is to pick glasses of the same COE made by the same manufacturer. These will almost always be guaranteed compatible. Most glass manufacturers clearly label their products with the COE. Oceanside Glass and Tile tested compatible glass sheets are all compatible with each other, they're all COE 96, and they come in a huge variety of colors, so they're a great choice. If you're new to working with glass, I'd recommend choosing some of their single-color opalescent or transparent sheets as a palette for your first projects, since they're generally very easy to cut and have predictable fusing behaviors. Next, you'll need a glass cutter to cut out specific shapes. These come in many styles, but the most critical parts are the wheel at the tip, which is used to score the glass, and the weighted ball on the opposite end, which is used to help run scores to ensure they break cleanly. Although you can break glass scores by hand, you'll probably want a pair of running pliers and/or grozing pliers to assist with this process. Running pliers apply pressure along a score line, increasing the chances that the glass breaks cleanly. Grozing pliers can remove small bits of glass, getting a more refined shape. Another essential piece of equipment you'll need is a kiln. Kilns come in a huge variety of sizes and price points, so it's important to research which one best fits your needs before making a purchase. Beginners may want to look for a kiln that can fit a shelf in the range of 6 to 12 inches, has a programmable controller, can fire up to around 1700 degrees Fahrenheit, and can plug into a standard household outlet. A kiln with these metrics is typically fairly affordable, can accommodate most beginner-level projects, and can be incorporated seamlessly into most home studios. But if you're not quite ready to invest in a kiln, you can also look into sourcing kiln time at a local studio to get a feel for it first. You'll need a kiln shelf to hold your glass as it fires. Most kilns will come with one, but you can also purchase them individually. These come in various sizes and materials and are placed on top of the kiln floor. It's important not to fire glass directly onto the kiln floor because doing so will cause the project to heat unevenly and also risks glass sticking to the kiln floor, which can be very expensive to replace. But you don't want glass sticking to your kiln shelf either, so you'll need either kiln wash or shelf paper to protect it. Kiln washes tend to be cheaper than shelf paper, but they need to be mixed and brushed onto the shelf before each firing, whereas paper can be cut and placed onto the shelf in seconds. There are a couple pieces of safety gear you'll need to have for different stages of the process. Goggles should always be worn when cutting, breaking, or shaping glass to prevent small chips from getting into your eyes. Along with safety goggles, a respirator with NIOSH-approved particulate filters and gloves should also be worn when mixing shelf primer, removing fired primer or shelf paper, and working with powder frit. The fine dust created during these processes is dangerous to ingest, so it's important to keep your eyes, nose, mouth, and hands covered throughout these stages. Now that you know the essential tools and materials needed to start fusing, let's go over some that aren't required, but that can enhance the process and your finished pieces. Having a marker to draw on the glass will allow you to cut more exact shapes and adhere to a specific pattern template. A quick-drying, waterproof marker works best. A ruler can also be useful when drawing geometric shapes and can help guide your cutter while making long, straight score lines. Make sure it has a cork or rubber backing to keep it from slipping as you cut. Tile nippers are an optional glass breaking tool you may want to use alongside running and grozing pliers. These nippers are very efficient at creating small, geometric shapes useful for repeating style patterns. To further refine your gloss pieces, you may want to use a grinder. These machines have abrasive bits that shave off thin layers of glass at a time to get to an exact shape. Glass comes in many forms besides just sheets. Incorporating these different varieties into your pieces can result in endless creative possibilities. Oceanside Glass and Tile produces a huge range of accessory glasses that I personally love adding into my work. Frit, stringers, and noodles are the 3 types of accessory glasses most commonly used in fusing. We'll discuss each of these in more detail in Lesson 5, as well as best practices for incorporating them into your projects. Polarized light filters show stress, or signs of instability, within a fused glass piece. You may want to use these to test compatibility between different glasses, which I'll explain how to do in Lesson 3. For complicated designs that need to be transferred from a work surface, a small amount of glue can be useful to hold pieces together during the transition. You may want to use cleaning agents such as soap, vinegar, or alcohol to get your glass squeaky clean prior to firing. This will help to avoid devitrification, which is something we'll discuss more in Lesson 6. Several cotton or microfiber cloths will also be necessary to apply whichever cleaner you choose. There are various materials you may want to use to shape your glass project as it fires within the kiln. These include things like slumping molds, draping molds, casting molds, and fiber paper. And lastly, it might be nice to have a pattern to follow if you want your project to have a very specific final result. You can make your own, you can browse the free patterns provided on Oceanside Glass and Tile's website, or you can purchase patterns from one of the many artists and distributors that supply them. Alright, so now that you know what you need to get started creating, go gather your tools and materials and join me here for Lesson 2 of this series, where I'll give you an overview of firing principles and kiln operation.